Okay, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Okay, so today we gonna finish up on the topic number 7, okay, on the monopoly and also perfect competition market. Okay, so before we continue, okay, just recap what we did last Monday. Okay, so last Monday I introduced on the perfect competition market. Okay, what are the main characteristics? Okay, the main thing is the firm is a price taker. Okay, and every firm can only sell at one price. Okay, the price which is set by the market. And because the price is constant, okay, the demand curve for a perfect competition market is perfectly horizontal, and that will lead to the average revenue, the MR will be the same. Okay, so and then we also look at the profit maximizing condition. Okay, what is the output that the firm need to produce in order to increase, in order to maximize profit? So the general guideline is we use the MC equals to MR, marginal revenue equals to marginal cost rule. So this is the rule that the firm need to follow in order to maximize profit. So when the two graph or when MR is equal to MC, the firm can determine how much what is the output, the quantity of output that need to be produced in order to maximize profit. Okay, so the price of the goods is decided from the market. So and also we also look at the P equals to MC condition, okay, which is the same as MC equals to MR, but because under perfect competition, MR is also equals to price. Okay, so rather than using MC equals to MR, we can just use P equals to MC. Okay, P which is the same as MR. Okay, we look at this example and then I also illustrate, okay, how you determine this profit area, okay, when TR minus TC. Okay, so and also how do you determine that the firm is making loss? Okay, and also when does the firm needs to exit from the market? Okay, whether they should continue even though they are making loss. Okay, so that was the part that we covered last Monday. Okay, so if the price is below the average cost, so means that the firm needs to completely close the business. Okay, but as long but if the price is at the minimum of average cost, average variable cost, so the firm can decide whether to continue or to leave the market. Okay, but if the price is in between average cost and average variable cost, sorry, it's not supposed to be okay, not this point here, it's supposed to be this point, okay, average variable cost, not the marginal cost. Okay, if the price is below average variable cost, okay, okay, so the firm need to shut down or close the business. But if the price is just at the minimum of average variable cost, that's what we call the shutdown condition, meaning that the firm can continue or exit the market. But if the price is in between average cost and average variable cost, okay, anywhere between here, the firm should continue doing business. So that's what we did last Monday. Okay, so in the long run, okay, so what we discussed here is all in the short run period. Okay, whether the firm need to continue or not. Okay, so that one is only under short run condition. But in the long run condition, okay, meaning in the long run, meaning a period of maybe let's say more than 1 year, more than 2 years, more than 3 years. Okay, so that's how we define long run period. Okay, so in a market where if the company or the firm, the seller operates in a perfect competition market, okay, meaning that there are many sellers selling similar items, similar product. Okay, so in the long run, we assume that only companies or only sellers that can survive. Okay, meaning that they can sustain, because when there are many companies or sellers selling the same thing, so of course some seller cannot sustain, okay, cannot compete, so they need to exit the market. Okay, but in the long run, we assume that those who are able to survive in the market, you can only make normal profit. Okay, normal profit means the word normal profits. Okay, and Okay, normal profit, NORMAL. Okay, normal profit means total revenue is equals to total cost. That is normal profit, meaning that in accounting term we call it break even, or we can also call it zero economic profit. Okay, some books uses the word normal profit. Okay, normal profit means zero profit. Okay, in accounting we use break even. Break even means the revenue is equal to the cost of the product. Okay, so meaning that the firm cannot make any positive profit. The one that you see just now in the short run. Okay, so if you are if the firm is selling above the average cost here, so if the price is above the average cost, okay, so this is the price, this is the demand or the price. So as long as the price is above the minimum, so this is the minimum average cost. Okay, you recall that the minimum point is when MC intersect with average cost. So as long as the price is above the average cost, the minimum average cost, okay, anywhere above here, the firm is making positive profit. Okay, positive profit. Okay, but if the price is just here, meaning exactly at the minimum point of average cost, this is what we call zero profit or normal profit. Normal profit is the same as zero profit. It's the same as break even. Okay, so in economics, we use the term zero profit or normal profit to illustrate revenue is equal to cost. Okay, so in this condition, the firm is not making any profit in the short run. Okay, so in the short run, firm can make positive profit, firm can make zero profit or normal profit, or the firm can also make loss, meaning that if the price is below the average cost, okay, somewhere here, the one that you see in this slide, so the firm can make loss in the short run, meaning that even though the firm is making loss like this, the firm can still continue doing business. Okay, but that is only possible in the short run. But in the long run, okay, what you can see here, uh, in the long run, okay, those who are able to survive in the market can only earn zero profit, meaning that in the long run, if you want to operate or sell in the market, okay, you are only expected to earn zero profit. Zero profit means revenue equal to cost. That is in terms of theory lah, because when there are so many sellers, in the market, okay, selling similar things. So in the short run, maybe you can get profit, okay, but in the long run, if you want to continue operating in the market, okay, so so in theory, we expect that the firm who can survive in the market can only make zero profit. What is zero profit? When the price is equal to minimum average cost point. Okay, where is minimum average cost point? The minimum point is when the MC cuts the average cost. So this is the minimum point here. Okay, so when the price line, okay, the red one is the price line or the demand line. So when the demand is equal to the minimum point of average cost, so this is what we call as the zero profit condition. Okay, so bear in mind, okay, what is this curve about? Okay, we know that the price is set by the market, okay, but the MC curve, the average cost curve, this is the firm. Okay, let's say we are talking about company A or firm A. Okay, let's say we are talking about firm A, okay, company A, okay, firm A. So the demand, this price is not set by firm A. This is what the market decides. Because recall, in the beginning of the lecture last Monday, we discussed that we covered. I mean, we discussed that the firm under perfect competition is a price taker. Price taker means they cannot set the price; they need to follow what the price set by the market. So this price here is the one set by the market. Okay? But the average cost curve, the marginal cost curve, this is unique to the firm, meaning that is how the firm can control their own cost. So this got nothing to do with the market. This is the firm own individual cost. So let's say this is firm A. Firm A average cost curve and firm A marginal cost curve. Okay? So if this is the firm average cost and marginal cost curve, okay, not notice that why we don't draw average variable cost. Okay? Why we don't draw EVC? Okay? Because in the long run, all costs are variable costs. So average cost, if you draw EVC, means that there should be average fixed cost as well. Okay, because when you draw ABC means there is also AFC. Okay, AFC. So in the short run, yes, you need to draw average cost and also average variable cost. But in the long run, okay, because all cost is variable cost in the long run, so that's why you only draw the average cost curve. Okay, because average cost curve means it already include all the variable costs and there is no fixed cost. Okay, so in the long run, if the firm, let's say if I change this one, let's say if I move the average cost curve here, okay, so let's say that this is the firm A average cost curve, okay, but this is the price set by the market. So if the price is below average cost curve, means that the firm is making loss, okay, because the price is below average cost. Okay, if the price is below average cost, the minimum average cost, the firm need to close business and exit the market. Okay, but if the firm average cost curve is equal to the minimum, if the firm average cost, okay, minimum average cost is equal to the market price, then the firm, I mean, those who can stay in the market can only have if your average cost is above, meaning that you cannot stay in the market anymore. You need to exit the market, okay, or you need to close the business. Okay. How about this one? If the price is below, if the average cost is below the price, meaning that the firm is making profit. Okay. If this is the condition, because in the long run we assume that any positive profit will become very, very small, because in the short run, if you can make profit, you will attract other companies to the market. So let's say you want to set up a business in the Shopee platform or in Lazada, let's say selling one item, okay, item A. So you are the first one to sell item A in the market. And suddenly after you make profit, you can see that other sellers will also start selling the same thing. And meaning that you will, because you make profit in the short run, you will attract new players or new sellers to join the market to sell similar things that you are also selling. So if you imagine that the profit is like a piece of cake, okay? So if you divide the cake by so many sellers, meaning that everyone will only get a small piece of the cake. This cake means the profit area lah. So the more sellers join the market, the less profit everyone can get. Okay, so this is what happened in the short run. When you make profit, you will attract new sellers to join the market. So eventually, the profit earned by each company becomes smaller and smaller. So that's why in the long run, okay, when the profit becomes too small, okay, in the long run, we assume that those who survive, okay, can only get zero profit. Okay, can only get zero profits means because the profit has been divided by so many sellers in the short run. So eventually in the long run, those who can survive can only get zero profit, means break even. So how do you show that? Is when the demand or the price is equal to the minimum average cost. Okay, so this is the condition in the long run. Okay, so can you get profit in the long run? In theory, cannot. Okay, because if you get profit, you will attract more companies to join the market. Okay, as what I showed just now, you are going to divide the profit to other. Because everyone will eventually share the same market. Okay, so when you are competing in the same market, the same customers, so your sales will become less and less, because some of your revenue will also go to another seller as well. Okay, so that's why in the long run, we assume that companies can only make zero profit, okay, in order to continue doing business, okay, in the perfect competition market. Okay, the same thing here, what I showed just now. If let's say in the long run, there is some firms making profit, so it will attract other companies to join the market. So eventually the profit will become smaller and smaller. Okay, and then the price will tend to go down. Okay, so why price tend to go down when you have many sellers? Because when you are competing with other companies, okay, when there are many sellers selling the same thing, okay, you can expect that the price to become lower and lower. Okay, because everyone wants to compete in the market. So that's why in the long run, okay, when you attract new sellers in the market, price will also go down. Okay, when the price become cheaper and cheaper or lower and lower, okay, so those who can survive will only get zero profit. So that is the main thing that you need to understand. Not so much about the graph lah, but as long as you understand in the long run, firm can only get zero profit, whereby the price is equal to the minimum average cost. Okay, so that is the main thing that you need to understand. Okay, but if the price is below your average cost, you need to exit the market. Okay, so this is the same thing lah. Price equals to minimum average cost. Okay, so where is minimum average cost? Minimum average cost is when the point where MC cuts the average cost, which is at this exact point here. Okay, so because there are many sellers, okay, people are competing against each other. Okay, so in the perfect competition market, we assume that the market is very efficient. Okay, efficient means, for example, we can divide according to allocative efficiency, productive efficiency. Okay, allocative means resources are allocated among firms and industries. Okay, to obtain a mix of product most desired by consumers. Okay, productive using the least cost production method. Okay, so they want to cut down on the cost. So the main thing is that in the perfect competition market, okay, the firms or the market is very efficient. Okay, so what is allocative efficiency? Okay, you need to understand this concept because when we cover the remaining part of the syllabus, which is on monopoly, okay, I'm not going to discuss too much on monopoly, we are just focusing on the difference between monopoly versus perfect competition, because the rest will be more or less the same. Okay, so allocative efficiency is when the price is equal to marginal cost. Okay, you recall that, okay, the condition that we need to fulfill is when MR is equal to MC. But because in perfect competition, MR is also equal to price, so we assume that in a perfect competition market, okay, the firm will only produce where the market price is equal to the marginal cost of the firm. Okay, so allocative efficiency is obtained when P is equal to MC. Okay, but when the P is above MC, we call it under any condition, whether it is less or equal, we call it inefficient, like allocative inefficiency. Okay, allocative inefficient, meaning that if the price is not equal to MC, it becomes allocative inefficient, whether it's more or less. Okay, so productive is when P is equal to minimum average cost. Okay, so P equal to minimum average cost, we know that this condition occurs in the long run. Okay, just now we discussed that in the long run, price is equal to minimum average cost. P equal to minimum average cost. So this condition is fulfilled. Okay, is achieved in the long run, period for perfect competition market. Okay, but the main thing is under perfect competition, price is equal to MC, or there is allocative efficiency. Okay, but in the monopoly, you will see that this condition is not fulfilled or is not achieved. Okay, so let's see what is monopoly. Okay, so the word mono means one lah. Okay, so like monogamy meaning you only have one partner, okay, or one wife. Polygamy meaning that the husband has more than one wife. Okay, so the same thing here. Monopoly, so there is only one firm competing, producing in the market. Okay, so the word sole producer. So because you are the only one selling the product in the market, there is no close substitute. Okay, and because of that, you are the only seller. Then the company becomes the price maker. You are the king of the price, meaning you set your own price. You don't need to follow what the market says. In fact, what you set becomes the market price. Okay, unlike perfect competition, because there are many sellers in the market and no one seller can actually determine what they want to sell. Okay, it depends on the interaction of demand and supply for perfect competition. Okay, but for monopoly, they have the power to set whatever price. Okay, I give example last Monday on Astro. Okay, they can decide how much they want to charge customers. If you take package A, package B, package C, the movie package, the sport package, whatever price that they want to set. Because at that point, for so many years, there is no competition for Astro. Okay, so whatever they set becomes the market price. Okay, and why they can there's only one seller, because there is significant barrier to entry. What is barrier is halangan, meaning that usually what are the barriers to entry to join the market is usually what we call as cost. Okay, the cost to produce the market the product. For example, like Astro, okay, they spend millions of ringgit to for the satellite. Okay, when they launch the satellite in the orbit. Okay, so you need that kind of capital. So very big capital, just like the Tenaga Nasional, the electric supplier, the for Malaysia, the main supplier of electric in Malaysia, okay, Tenaga Nasional Berhad, TNB. So these are some of the examples. So for example, like you know, I mean, in the case of Malaysia, you can identify few monopolies. Okay, so the most obvious one, as what I mentioned, okay, uh, like the Astro. Okay, and before we have this mobile service, okay, Maxi, Celcom, DG. Okay, before the usage of mobile phones, we only have fixed line or landline. Okay, the one the telephone that uses cable. So the only provider is Telecom Malaysia. So at that time, Telecom Malaysia is the monopoly for the supply of phone lines. Okay, but now because we have many competition, okay, so Telecom is no longer the monopoly. Okay, so barrier to entry usually, for example, you need some license to only certain company can get access to the material. Okay, or because of patent copyrights. Okay, once you obtain the copyright or patent, no one can do the same thing as what the company is doing. Or natural monopoly. Natural monopoly means by the definition, or the company needs to be very big. For example, like the Astro, okay, the electricals, the TNB. Because if you want to provide that kind of service, you need to have a very large capital or large model, okay, very big capital in order to start doing that kind of business. Okay, so that is the main difference between perfect competition and monopoly. Okay, uh, the firm is the price maker, not price taker. Okay, only one firm compared to many firms. And in perfect competition, there is no barrier to entry, meaning you can join the market today if you want, because the cost to do business is very low. Okay, anyone can join the Facebook market if you want to do online business in Shopee or in Lazada. Okay, because as long as you got some products to sell, whether by dropship or you can do your own. I mean, because the whatever things that you want to sell, okay, the startup cost or the initial capital will be very low compared to a business like in a monopoly market. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, so because the firm is a price maker, okay, so if you recall from the perfect competition topic, okay, the demand curve for each company, okay, so this horizontal demand curve is the one faced by the company, by individual firm, okay, but for the whole market, okay, the demand will still be downward sloping. So do not get confused with this demand curve and this demand curve. So the downward sloping is for the whole market. Okay, so this is for the whole market. If you take the whole market in general, the demand curve for that particular product will still be downward sloping. So when there is supply and demand, market supply and market demand, so and then you will get the price. Okay, so from this interaction, when the two graphs intersect, then you will get what is the market price. So this is the price that you refer here. Okay, so this horizontal line is the individual demand, meaning that if this is company A, okay, if this is company A, so the company A demand curve will be horizontal because they can only sell at one price. But how does this price is being set? It is set by the market when demand and supply intersect. Okay, so the demand curve for the market will still be downward sloping, but the demand curve for an individual company, okay, so from the company point of view, the demand curve will be horizontal line or perfectly elastic, okay. But for monopoly, because they are the only seller, okay, so the demand curve for monopoly will be the demand curve of the market, meaning that it will be downward sloping. Okay, just now. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Okay, so the demand curve for the monopoly will be downward sloping, just like the demand curve, a market demand curve. Okay, so just now I mentioned that for a perfect competition market, okay, the demand curve for the market will still be downward sloping. Okay, but the individual demand curve for a firm in perfect competition will be perfectly horizontal or perfectly elastic. Okay, but for but because in monopoly market there's only one seller, so one seller means whatever the firm produce becomes automatically becomes the market demand. Okay, so the demand curve for monopoly is the normal demand curve that you normally see, which is downward sloping. Okay, so it is not the horizontal line that you see. Okay, so this is the difference, the main difference. In perfect competition, there's only one price. Okay, one price that the firm can sell, because they need to follow whatever price set by the market. That's why the price is constant, or the demand is horizontal. But for monopoly, they can charge whatever price they want. They can charge low price or they can charge high price depending on the market that the company is selling. Okay, if you recall from the previous topics, okay, if the on the topic of elasticity of demand, if the demand is elastic, it's better for the firm to reduce price in order to increase revenue. But if the market demand curve is inelastic or not elastic, the strategy to increase revenue is to increase price. So if you recall from that, so that is the same thing what the monopoly will do. They can increase price or they can reduce price depending on the elasticity of demand on the product that they sell. Okay. So we're not going to discuss too much on these pricing strategies, okay, whether it's price discrimination, but just on the surface, okay, what is price discrimination? Price discrimination is you are selling the same good, okay, but at different prices depending on the market. For example, if you sell, let's say, product in KL, you may charge different price if you were to sell in Kedah, for example, because maybe in KL, because the demand for certain goods or the level of income, okay, for the residents in KL is higher, then the producer or the seller can sell a bit higher than what you can sell, let's say, in a place like in Kedah, like in Jitra, for example. Okay, for example, like in UAM, it's more like a kampung area. So the price that you can buy for certain item in UAM will be cheaper than if you were to buy in KL. So that is price discrimination. Okay, so but we know, so that is just in general lah. Okay, but the main thing that we want to look at is the shape of the demand curve, okay, or the marginal revenue curve, the average cost curve, okay. So if you recall from the if you compare, so whenever you learn monopoly, it's best to compare with the perfect competition graph market that you learned before. Okay, so let me just recap, okay, quickly what you learn here from perfect competition. So first, whenever you draw a perfect competition market, okay, the main thing is to draw the marginal cost curve, okay, the MC, okay, and then the average cost curve, and also the average variable cost curve, okay, and then your price curve. For example, if you want to show that the firm is making profit, so the price will be above the average cost. So this is average cost, average variable cost. So if the price is above, then the firm is making profit. So we know that also in perfect competition, when you draw the price line, you put P equals to not only price, but also equals to the average revenue, also equals to marginal revenue. Okay. So, and I also mentioned that MR is also considered as the demand curve. Okay. Whenever you put, sorry, not MR, my mistake. Okay. Whenever you put the, let me do this again. Okay. For example, like this line, right? Okay. Whenever you draw the price line, okay, so the price is also equals to AR. Okay. When you put AR, okay, you can put in bracket demand, because average revenue curve is also considered as the demand curve, and then also equals to MR. Okay. So MR is not called the demand. So make sure that you don't get this one confused. Okay. So we already shown last Monday why P is equals to AR equals to MR in perfect competition, because of the constant price. Okay. But whenever you draw the average revenue curve, okay, another name for average revenue curve is also the demand curve. So that brings us to this, if you look at this graph here, okay. So okay, the main thing that you can see here, the MR and the demand curve, okay. So this one, demand, you can put AR in your notes, okay, or in your slide, okay, demand slash AR. So this demand curve is also the average revenue curve. So in other words, whenever you see a monopoly market graph, okay, you can draw the first. So this line will be the average revenue, AR. Okay, the one below will be MR. Okay, will be MR, and then you have the marginal cost. So first, automatically you see that AR and MR is not the same line as compared to perfect competition. Okay, so the demand curve or the average revenue curve is not equal to marginal revenue curve. Okay, in fact, AR is higher than marginal revenue. Okay, in perfect competition, AR is equals to MR. Okay, so that is the first thing, the main difference. Okay, and then secondly is okay, so how the price is being set. If you compare to perfect competition, the price is set by the market. Okay, that's why the firm price will be horizontal. Okay, but for monopoly, okay, recall that what is the condition to maximize profit? It is MR equals to MC. Okay, so whenever we use this condition, so this condition is to determine what is the quantity of output that will maximize profit. Okay, so what is the quantity of output that the firm need to produce in order to maximize profit? Okay, pi is profit. So that is the MR equals to MC. MR equal to MC not to find the price, it is to find the quantity. Okay, so that's what we see in the perfect competition. Okay, when the price, okay, is equal to the marginal cost curve, so that's how you determine the that's how you determine the quantity of output. For example, this is, so we discussed that last Monday. I'm not going to discuss that one too much in detail because you can refer to the Monday lecture. Okay, but for monopoly, because the demand or the AR curve is not equal to marginal revenue curve. Okay, so whenever you want to use MR equals to MC, so just look at the graph. When the two graphs intersect, then that is the MR equals to MC condition. So you can see here, this is MR, this is MR, this is MC. So MR equal to MC is at this point here. Okay, at this point is where MR equals to MC. Okay, when the two graphs intersect, so MR equals to MC is at this point. So at this point, you draw the vertical line downwards to find what is the quantity of output that maximizes profit. Okay, so this is, so at this point, you just draw a vertical line on the x-axis to calculate or determine what is the quantity. And then on the same line, on the same blue line that you determine using MC equals to MR, you extend above until it cuts the demand curve or the average revenue curve. Okay, remember in your slides, okay, make sure that you put demand slash AR lah. Okay, so on this same line, when it cuts the average revenue curve or the demand curve, so this is where you get the price. Okay, so the process is not the same as perfect competition. Perfect competition, the price is given to the company or to the firm. Okay, but for monopoly, the price is set later, meaning you only set the price after you determine how much you want to produce. Using the condition MC equals to MR, okay, using this condition, the firm determines what is the quantity. Okay, recall the step MR equals to MC. At this point, you get the output. Okay, and on the same line that you determine the output, okay, you find where does this line actually intersect with the demand curve in order to determine how much the firm need to sell. Okay, so that is the condition or how monopoly company, how a monopolist set the price. Okay, so you can see here the quantity is using MC equals to MR. Okay, and using that, after you determining what is the Q, you can find what is the price. Okay, so how does this area becomes the profit? Okay, basically it's the same principle that you used before, TR minus TC. Okay, so which one is the TR? We know that TR is P times Q. Okay, price times quantity gives you total revenue. So you know that this is the price, okay, and this is the quantity. Okay, so meaning that this whole blue area is the total revenue area. Okay, P, so this is the price, this is the quantity. Okay, so P times Q, you get the TR. So where is the total cost? Okay, so total cost is obtained. Okay, if you look at this, so along the same line, this one, when the line cuts your average cost curve, you can see that this is the average cost curve, this blue line. When it cuts this point, so at this point you get the average cost, meaning is here. Okay, you get the average cost. Okay, recall from last Monday, okay, average cost is equals to total cost divided by quantity. So if you want to get total cost, you just cross multiply lah, meaning AC times Q gives you total cost. So AC times quantity gives you total cost. So TR minus TC will end up giving you the profit area, which is this green one lah. Okay, so this is the how you determine the profit area. Okay, but of course, because your test is based on multiple choice, okay, not based on structured questions. Okay, so you are not going to be tested on your drawing skill, how to determine. I mean, if you were to take the exam, face to face on the conventional exam method, so you need to practice drawing this curve. Okay, but luckily because your tests are all based on MCQ, so what you need to know is basically how this area is determined. Okay, how do you determine the output using MC equals to MR? So where is the quantity that maximizes output? Where is the price that maximizes the profit? Where is the quantity that maximizes the profit? Okay, using MC equals to MR. So you may be given something like a graph like this, but then different points on the curve. So you need to determine what the quantity that the firm need to produce using MC equals to MR. So as long as you follow the rule, MC cuts the MR curve, you get the quantity, and then on the same line, it cuts the demand curve or the AR curve, you determine the price. Okay, and then the profit area is determined by TR minus TC area. Okay, so that is okay. The word inefficiency, if you compare to the monopoly just now, okay, monopoly, sorry, to the perfect competition. Under perfect competition, the price or the price is equal to marginal cost, what we call as allocative efficiency. Okay, but under monopoly, this condition is not the same. Okay, if I can use the other slide from okay, so if you go to the other slide in your OL, okay, the one from Arnold textbook, okay, you can see that this deadweight loss. So what is deadweight loss? In the word deadweight loss is the loss of is the results of inefficiency. Okay, so it's a loss in terms of consumer welfare. So it's a, if you in economy, if nobody gets the profit, meaning that if you, let's say, if you look at what is happening today, okay, some companies, they want to cut down on the cost, they dump the waste in the river, okay, then they pollute the river, or they use the cheapest cost possible in order to increase profit. So they end up causing so many problems like pollution, okay, and other problems related to the market. So whenever if so in a monopoly market, because there is no competition, when there is no competition, compared to perfect competition market, when there are so many companies selling the same thing, so companies in perfect competition will sell at P equal to MC. But in monopoly, the price will be higher than the marginal cost. Because of this, it will lead to deadweight loss. Deadweight loss is like a loss in terms of consumer welfare. Consumer is made worse off, meaning consumer right is not protected, okay, in a monopoly market. So if you imagine, like in example case, there are many complaints that the price is so high, but the quality of the service is very, it's just average. Sometimes they show the same channel or the same content over and over again. Okay, but you cannot complain, or you cannot, because there is no competition. Okay, they charge the price high, but the quality of service is not up to the standard. Okay, so that is also considered as deadweight loss lah. Okay, so this occur in a perfect competition market. So how you illustrate in a simple graph is this graph here, in this triangle here. Okay, but I'm not going to focus too much. As long as you understand what is deadweight loss, what is the cause of deadweight loss arise because under monopoly, they charge the price above marginal cost. So that is the thing that you need to understand. Okay, and on the price discrimination, I'm not going to focus too much on this. Okay, so if you look at the Arnold textbook slide, okay, in your OL, okay, there are also a bit of discussion on this price discrimination. We're not going to discuss this. Okay, so as long as you understand the main difference, okay, this one. If you look at your slides in your OL, okay, so please understand this concept here. Okay, P equals to MR or P equal to MC. It's the same thing lah. Okay, just now if you recall that in a perfect competition market, okay, deadweight loss occur because P is equal to MC. The same thing here lah. Okay, for perfect competition market, P is equal to MR. Okay, or the price is equal to MR, but for monopolies, the price is above marginal revenue. Okay, so because of that, okay, so that gives in terms of consumer welfare, consumer, the kebajikan of the consumer. Okay, when you talk about consumer welfare, you talk about which market that the consumer can benefit the most. So usually we refer to one of the advantages of perfect competition is that when there is competition, company will tend to become more efficient. Okay, efficient means they will charge lower, they will try to reduce the cost, they will try to find the best method to produce the goods. and services. So consumer will benefit when there is competition. Okay, but when there is no competition, okay, consumer usually will not benefit because there is lack of competition. Company does not want to, you know, innovate or does not want to, because whatever they do, consumer needs to rely on them because they are the only seller in the market. So this point also is important, meaning that okay, the difference between perfect competition and also monopoly. You can Google that in the, you can find similar points in the internet. You can just type the difference between perfect competition and monopoly market. Okay, so usually it will focus around the same thing on this point P equals to MC versus P greater than marginal cost. Okay, so I think that's it for our discussion on the slide. Okay, so yeah, one more thing is natural monopoly. Okay, in the beginning of the monopoly slide, okay, we saw something on this. Okay, you can get more information from the book or from the web. Okay, you can Google what is natural monopoly. Okay, so we will do some questions from the past years. Okay, and then you can see how the question looks like, okay, on this topic of perfect competition and monopoly. So in these questions, there is no questions on graph, okay. So, but this one, I mean, you can check your the test bank which I sent to you before, okay, for other questions or some other past years questions that you can download from the library website. Okay, so that you can see how questions related to this topic are normally asked lah. Okay, so if you were to get question on graph, on Klook, usually it will be something like this. Okay, where is the output? Where is the price? Okay, so let's do some of these questions on the from the past years. Okay, so question number 38. Okay, question 38. Okay, so okay, in a perfect market, a perfect competition market is selling and product, same product, which lead to conclusion that okay, consumers get to see variety of output. There are many buyers. Economic profit will be positive in the long term. Firm are price takers. Okay, oh, I did not show you this one. Okay, so the answer should be okay, because there are many sellers selling the same thing. Okay, so it should be what A, B, C, or D. Okay, so the best answer should be D lah. Okay, firm are price takers. Okay, meaning they accept whatever price set by the market. Okay, profit will be zero, not positive. Okay, in the long run, there are many buyers. Okay, nothing to do with there are many sellers. Okay, but variety of output. Okay, the product is similar, so there is no variation because you are just for companies are just selling the same thing. Okay, so the correct or the accurate one should be firm price takers. Okay, 39. Okay, the monopolist MR revenue curve. Okay, so just now we discussed in the slide. Okay, AR, MR. Okay, downward sloping and lies below the firm demand curve. Okay, so I think A should be the answer lah. Okay, we just discussed on this one. Okay, the demand curve or the average revenue curve is above, MR is below. Okay, so it should be A lah. Okay. Okay, a natural monopoly exists when okay, you can refer to the slide just now that we discussed what is natural monopoly. So it should be B. Okay. Economic scale are so large that only one firm can survive and achieve low unit cost. Okay. So C is exclusive owner is the reason why like barrier to entry. Okay. Why other companies cannot join the market, but that is not the reason why we call it natural monopoly. Okay, natural monopoly because the company or the business by its definition needs a very large capital. Okay, like Extro or TMB. Okay, so maybe one more question. Okay, on this simple question on profit maximizing output. Okay, so what is the output? Okay, first you need to look at MC equals to MR. Where is the graph that is equal? Obviously, this is the one lah. 18 equals to 18. Okay, so get 18. Okay, MC is equals to MR. Okay, but the question asks you what is the revenue. So revenue is calculated as P times Q. So you know that at this, the quantity is 4, but what is the price? Okay, we know that because the MR is constant, so MR will also becomes the price. So 18 times 4, you get 72 lah. Okay, which is A lah. Okay. Okay, so I think, I mean, again, you need to do your own practice. Okay, look at test bank, past year's questions. Okay, practice on, look at the questions related to this topic. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Okay, inshallah, we'll see.